Hey guys, what's up? I'm gonna do a weekly forecast video. It is Monday, December 4th, and I am doing a forecast for the week starting Sunday, December 3rd. So we already had a Monday candle print today. Let's start on the dollar. So for the dollar weekly, you can see in the past few forecasts I've talked about this weekly order block, the body of these two down close candles. Last week we had a very nice reaction off of it, and now I want to see us get up into this weekly fair value gap, and I'm bullish on the dollar. I think I've seen some other people give analysis and they think the dollar is going lower. I am bullish until we formed a swing low right here already. So we already have this swing low. Until that gets broken to the downside, well, Monday. Yeah, until the swing low gets broken to the downside, I think we're going up because we took the sell side here. We shifted market structure and we had all this run up. So what I am treating this pullback as is just a retracement into a discount to go higher. What is that discount? We find discount PD arrays, weekly order block. So I'm expecting this to be a swing low for higher price. So I want to see us come up and violate this weekly fair value gap. Let's go to the daily because there's a few daily levels that we're going to have to get through before we get to this fair value gap, and they will give us some hints on whether, are we going to even make it here? Are we going to continue going lower? Because they're going to have to get through some daily levels first. Those daily levels is this daily fair value gap. So as you can see, this right here is the Monday candle. It printed and came right up just shy of consequent encroachment. Let me take a step back and go to the weekly. So this is this weekly candle. So this swing hasn't formed yet. We could come up and then come down. So we need to wait for this week to close to solidify this as two lower points below this point for a swing low. But we'll see how the week shapes up, and I think we'll know by Wednesday whether that's going to happen or not. Going back to the daily, we have this daily level. We came up to consequent encroachment of it, kind of came back down. You can see this is a pretty significant daily swing low that we took. It also lines up very nicely with the weekly order block in this orange dash line at the sell side. Let's go to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, you can see we have this 4 hour fair value gap that we touched it here on the way down to the sell side, and then we came up, touched it, came back down, came up again, closed the body above it, then rejected lower, then came all the way up here and closed above it, and now we're using it as support. So we did gap down on this opening right here, and it was a pretty large gap down from that candle to this candle, and it gapped down below the consequent encroachment. So I want to see, does tomorrow come up and take this high and come through this daily fair value gap, or does it see lower prices? And while I am bullish on the dollar, I am a little torn on the indices, and let me show you why. So long term, looking for higher prices in the dollar. Again, it doesn't have to get up there this week, so we'll see how the weekly turns out. But going over to the indices, so NASDAQ, we had a breakdown into these daily fair value gap. Let me go start at the weekly for you. So NASDAQ is pulling back into this weekly fair value gap. We talked about how we had this run up, and it's due for a retracement into a discount if it wants to go higher and take this high. This is the all-time high. We came very close to it. I think it for now, it's willing to take it until we see a market structure that gives otherwise. But you can see Monday. So Monday came down. We came down to the consequent encroachment of this very beautifully. Now, I do think we could possibly see a deeper retracement before taking this high, or maybe not. So we'll have to see how it respects these inefficiency levels and if it finds support in it. Right now, once we start going down to these lower time frames, it's going to look like we are finding support. So just to give you the short, sweet, and simple, I want, for the people who don't want to, watch a longer video, short, sweet, and simple is I want to see this low right here that we just put in place be the low of the week. Either the low of the week Monday or Tuesday for a higher movement that will come up and take this high. Again, it might not happen this week, but I want to see a low be put in that is showing support by these PD arrays that we're about to talk about. So as you can see, we have this daily fair value gap, but this Monday came down to the consequent encroachment, this purple line. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. Very nicely. That's the consequent encroachment of the weekly. So we want to see, power of 3. Power of 3 is the accumulation, and then it manipulates lower to expand higher. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up an image that's from the core content month 7. And this is kind of an example of what I'm hoping the week turns out to look like. Now, all of these templates this is one video where ICT goes over all of the weekly templates. They all have like a swing happening on a Tuesday. Now the swing doesn't have to happen on a Tuesday. If we go, I have this nice little indicator that breaks up the weeks. So these dashed lines are separating the weeks. And if we look at this week specifically, we had our swing low form on a Monday. You can see this low is on Monday. And then we had another low form right here on the Tuesday, but that low wasn't lower. And then this was a news driver event, I believe. So it doesn't have to happen perfectly like the swing low. This is a classic example. And again, we could come down and say just wick below this low and then send it higher. But this is kind of a general idea of what I will be looking for in the week. I'll be looking for some kind of low to be put in Monday, Tuesday, and then an expansion into Wednesday, Thursday. Now, this is, a classic Tuesday low of the week. And the reason why I'd ideally like to see this is because we already had all of this back and forth price in here. So while we had this manipulation lower, you can see how sensitive it got off of this daily. So hopefully I want to see price, since it was so sensitive off this PD array, cut through all this consolidation very quickly and take out the high, which is over here, that green line. Another thing to note too is if we draw a range on the body of these candles in the consolidation, notice we barely closed outside. So we did close lower. And tomorrow I want to see, between now and tomorrow's open, do we kind of stay here and then open and go higher, or do we kind of start to roll over back to this low right here? Get this image off. Something I think, and the reason why I think there's a possibility to go higher is I'm going to show you ES. So ES, as you can see, there's an SMT divergence happening. ES did not make a lower low. It made a higher low. So it's really going to be dependent on the dollar. So if we go back to the dollar, if the dollar wants to retrace a little bit, which I think it can, and you can see it found some support on this blue fair value gap. So if it wants to retrace back to this blue fair value gap before breaking above this daily fair value gap, I think that downward motion could really allow the indices to go higher again and possibly, sweep this high and then come lower. But this SMT on ES is something to really note. It is a non-farm payroll week, so that means we don't trade after the Wednesday AM session. And just the fact that we're going into December, it's very common for traders to just not trade the last 2 weeks of December. Why is that? That's because the market makers are, people on Wall Street are usually taking vacations, they're celebrating Christmas. So there's not that large pool of liquidity in the market. And as we know, liquidity is, large funds is what makes price move, and it's what makes price get volatile. So those large funds are going to be absent in the market the last 2 weeks of December and probably the first 2 weeks of January. That just 4 week period is very common for traders to just sit out. And then even these 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of December, it's starting to thin out, and it's probably just a lower probability conditions in these December to January months. So I will definitely be trading less the deeper into December we go, and we'll probably not be coming back until the third week of January. So just something to note. But going back to this SMT, so we do have this SMT, and I want to see how we treat these lows. I think if we come up, if we don't take this low right here, if we take it on ES and NASDAQ, then I think we're rolling over lower. But if it stays in place, then I think we're going to go for the all-time highs coming into the rest of the week. So again, I think tomorrow will be pretty important. If we go down to the 1 hour, I think we'll know whether we're going to take this low, after we see the Asian and London session. So by the time New York pops up, we should know. I think if we break above this swing high on NASDAQ, then these highs are in play. But if you notice, we've taken a lot more sell side than we have buy side. So you can see we took sell side here, 1, took it again, 2, came down, 3, 4. Buy side, after this run up, we still have this high, this high, this high, which did take those highs, but these are just very significant. You could see retail would probably see it as a trend line, so we'd want to see that broken to the upside. Again, I think I would wait to see this swing high on the hourly broken, and then I think these are definitely in play. And similar on ES, you can see since ES made the higher low, it is the leader to the upside. It's the leader to the upside in this smaller fractal of time, but if we actually zoom out to the daily, ES is farther from its all-time highs than NASDAQ is. So ES just last week poked above this high, whereas NASDAQ has been well above this high for a while. It's closing on its all-time high. So in the daily chart and the higher time frame, ES is actually playing catch-up. So I think that makes sense as to why it put in this higher low because it's playing catch up. But that higher low means on the smaller time frames, if we're just looking at this consolidation, it is stronger in relation to this consolidation, this fractal of time. I think we saw on NASDAQ our discount PD arrays that we are using to build a narrative that we are going to find support at for upside. Those discount PD arrays, so we have this daily and the weekly here, but I think what ES is using is this down close candle as an order block on the daily. You can see all of the daily candles, the bodies are all respecting it. So this order block on the daily is the discount array that ES is using. Now, again, remember how I said I am expecting in the coming months a higher dollar, and that's, farther out projection, a higher dollar, which would mean lower indices. So I think there is a chance that this liquidity that we just took is enough to just send price lower. Again, while we did talk about the IPTA data ranges and these highs, first we targeted these highs, and then we targeted these highs, and then these are close enough within this 60-day span to be a target. It doesn't have to get up there. So within this quarterly shift, look how far we've come. This whole quarterly shift could be the top of it. So it's definitely, not only is it a low probability time of the year, but we're also in a lower probability time in terms of, weekly forecasts and trying to find on the weekly, because we are in such a high premium, but we're also in this very, very strong bullish uptrend. So like I said, this could be the top of this quarterly shift, but we don't pick tops or bottoms. So we're going to really need to wait to see a market structure shift before we call that. Again, if we look at the weekly, we haven't even put a swing low in on this weekly. So we could have like 3 or 4 down close weeks, and all that really is a retracement into a discount. But we'll be playing the daily for ES on the daily. You can see this daily order block, better discount that shows in the 4 hour is this 4 hour fair value gap. Again, I want to see this low, more specifically this low, because this low took liquidity and then we shifted market structure here. So I'm not surprised that this low respected this low if we are making an upside move. But if we do take out this low, then I think we're going all the way down here. If we take out that low. So we'll wait and see. I am really curious to see how the Asian and London sessions print. What I would like to see for upside is kind of a small range in those sessions, and then a manipulation down, maybe big wick, and then we'll go higher, and then we'll start cleaning up this buy side right here, here. And yeah, again, I think it'll really be indicative on the dollar, so we'll have to really watch the dollar. If the dollar starts to get some strength above this daily fair value gap, then I do not think our week is going to print as an up close week. What it could do, and I'll show you another picture, we could have this. So the Wednesday high of the week And again, since we're still technically in this consolidation, this Wednesday high of the week, this premium array that it comes up to and turns on the Wednesday, that could be like any one of the premium arrays that is, up here. And say we are targeting this orange area for downside. So this would be our projected dealing range, which would mean everything above this white line could be a premium in terms of this, down movement Monday, Tuesday, retrace up, down into this. So I do think for now I'm bullish, but if we close below this low, and especially below this low, then I will shift my stance and start targeting more downside. And for NASDAQ, a close below this low, candle close on the 15 minute, probably 15 or 1 hour, definitely the 1 hour. Enjoy the rest of your week.